Hello viewers, it's a beautiful day and Happy New Year. We are live from the MIS Multipurpose of Federal University of FULafia, National State, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 40th inaugural lecture of our great institution. Today, the university presents to you a professor of medical and health psychology from the Department of Psychology, College of Social Sciences, Federal University of FULafia. She is Professor Takyun. Please step out the most beautiful details from the hall. I am Mene Godwin reporting for the FULafia Bulletin. Stay connected.
The university librarian, the Gosha registrar, the incoming vice chancellor, and the vice chancellor of the university, chairman of the Senate of the university, Professor Chihu. Ladies and gentlemen, while we're still standing, we will take the first stanza of the national anthem, the first stanza of the national student anthem. We'll take the university anthem. After that, we shall recite the third stanza of the national anthem as our opening prayer for this event. And the choir, if we are ready, can we take the anthem starts. The first stanza of the national anthem as our opening prayer for this event, after the count of 2, 1, 2. Thank you. Please be seated. The Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of FULafia and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Takyun, the incoming Vice Chancellor of the University, the incoming Deputy Vice Chancellor, Principal Officers of the University, Chairman of the Committee of Provost, Deans and Directors, Chairperson of the Inaugural Lecture Committee of the University, the Inaugural Lecturer, the University Rector, Provost of Colleges, Deans and Directors, members of Senate of the Federal University of FULafia, senior teaching and non-teaching staff of the University, family members, friends and associates of the Inaugural Lecturer, heads of security agencies, distinguished guests, members of the university community, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 40th inaugural lecture of the Federal University of FULafia. Today, we have the honor of listening to Professor Takyun, Professor of Medical and Health Psychology, and the Director, Career Services Center of this university, as she delivers the 40th inaugural lecture. Thank you all for being part of this important academic event. I am Paulinus Auta, and I shall serve as the MC for this occasion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin this special occasion by introducing and welcoming some of our esteemed guests here present this afternoon. It is first and foremost my pleasure to welcome the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of FULafia, who is the chairman of this occasion. Please let's put our hands together for Professor Takyun. We'd like to welcome the incoming Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Muhammad Isa Akida. We acknowledge the presence of the Registrar of the University, Dr. Nuruddin Abu. We have the Bursar of the University, Dr. Daniel Wilson. We'd like to welcome the University Librarian, Professor Takyun. We recognize the presence of the incoming Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, Professor Prof. We have the incoming Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Partnerships, Professor Ibrahim Ogiri Hassan. We have the Chairman of the Committee of Provosts, Deans and Directors of this university, Professor Prof. We welcome the Chairperson of the Inaugural Lecture Committee of this university, Professor Josephine Odi. We have the University Auditor, Professor George Genyi. Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, It is my pleasure to welcome the inaugural lecturer for today, Professor Charity Justice. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Provost of the College of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Victor Chamsuvuga. We recognize the presence of all our deans and directors and members of the University Senate who are here for this event. We welcome you. Mr. Chairman, sir, permit me to also recognize the immediate family members of the inaugural lecturer. We have Chief Superintendent of Police, Justin Takyun, the husband of the inaugural lecturer. Welcome, sir. We have Julius Takyun. The children are also here, Julius Takyun. We have Harrison Takyun. We have Harriet Anderson Takyun. We have Marriott Valeria Takyun. Welcome. We are expecting the Commissioner of Police in Nasarawa State, Shatima Dawud Muhammad. Once he's here, we will acknowledge his presence.
Someone has presented.
Okay. We are representing him. Thank you very much. Welcome, sir. We have Honorable Justice Aruna Ofo, Nasarawa State Judiciary. You're most welcome, sir. Professor Agatha Ogu from Base University Abuja. You're most welcome, ma'am. Professor Andrew Zamani, President, Pan African Psychological Association.
Yes.
Professor Yahya Adadu, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Nasarawa University, is here. Welcome, sir. Dr. Abubakar Musa Tafida, President, Nigerian Psychological Association. Welcome, sir. The Dagrap family, they are present. Reverend and Mrs. Joshua Tuwan and family, most welcome. Elders and members of Inaugural News, FULafia, welcome you all. The boys who came to Nasarawa State, Takyun and Lafia Battalion, you're most welcome. Very Reverend Mrs. Moses Kutu. Here we have reverends and elders of all sects, Protestant Church, Mopode Church. Here represented, thank you. Mr. Jigon Loko, if he's here, is a primary school teacher. We like to recognize the presence of the Magazine Governor Nasarawa, Dr. Abubakar Hassan. Welcome, sir. We have the Chief Executive Officer of the British FULafia Nasarawa, Dr. Abubakar. Welcome, sir. And we have the Senior Deputy Registrar, Mrs. Helen Bello. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, sir, we want to recognize all heads of security agencies who are here. We recognize and welcome especially to this very important academic mission. We thank all our guests, our students also who have come to be part of this. We thank you very much for being here. Mr. Vice Chancellor, with your permission, may I invite the chairperson of the Inaugural Lecture Committee, Professor Takyun, for a welcome address.
my colleagues in the house, security agents, visitors from far and near, students in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We will speak in pidgin first. Excitement won't kill me. Why excitement won't kill me? This sixth inaugural lecture from my first constituency in this university as a woman. It doesn't matter that she is the fourth year to present, or she has taken the challenge, and number 6. By next year, we will have number plenty. Girls in the house, are you there? And guess what? From the field of medical health, psychology, we have here an inaugural lecturer that will tell us something about what we want to hear. A mother's concern about mental health. We are in an era of confusion, whether we like it or not, brought upon us by those people called Gen Z generation. They are on a fast lane, fast thinking, taking shortcuts to everything, and this, to a large extent, leads to self-destruction. Negative consequences that affect mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a mother, a professional in mental health, who might just give us the solutions we are looking for to, address what we have in front of us as problems. Please listen and learn so that you too can help to solve the problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was a welcome address by the chairperson of the inaugural lecture committee of the university. Mr. Chairman, sir, please permit me to specially recognize the presence of the Takyun's family. Takyun's family, all of you in here, please. We'd like to specially welcome all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will be seated. We have pharmacist Anga Emmanuel, state coordinator, NAFDAC, Salah State. You're most welcome, sir. Thank you very much. May I most respectfully invite the chairman of this occasion and Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of FULafia, Professor Takyun, for his address.
The incoming Vice Chancellor of Federal University of FULafia, Professor Mohammed Takyun, the Registrar, the Bossa, University Librarian, our Deputy Vice Chancellors designates here present, the Chairman of Committee of Provost, Deans, and Director, Provost, Deans, Directors, Heads of Departments, other members of Senate of Federal University of FULafia, our distinguished scholars from other universities here present, the heads of security agencies in national states here present, the inaugural lecturer of today, our family members and associates here present, our academic staff and non-teaching staff of this university, our distinguished students, particularly those from the field of psychology here present, I welcome all of us. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to Federal University of FULafia. I begin this address by expressing my sincere thanks to all of you for attending this inaugural lecture titled Navigating Life Challenges, Understanding and Addressing Mental Illness. Your presence here today is an expression of great support to this university. The inaugural lecture serves as a platform for professors to share their experience, achievements in research, innovation, engagement, and teaching activities. Today, Professor Charity Justin Takyun, Professor of Medical and Health Psychology, who is an outstanding scholar, is presenting the first inaugural lecture from the Department of Psychology of this university. I therefore congratulate her, the Department of Psychology, and the Faculty of Social Sciences on this achievement. This is an opportunity for Professor Charity to showcase her talents, knowledge, passion, intelligence, strength of personality and conviction in a very special and admirable manner. Professor Charity is a very hard-working academic and has the driving spirit for excellence. I'm aware and indeed witness her excellent performance in her capacity as head of the Department of Psychology and the Director Center for Career Service of this university. Professor Charity is one of the finest researchers in recent times and a scholar of rigors. She loves her profession, her students. She's a visionary person and fantastic teacher who always demonstrates unique relationship with her students and showing interest in their progress. On behalf of the university management, I express our deep appreciation to the University Inaugural Lecture Committee, which has Professor Ode as chairperson, for the progress we are making in our inaugural lecture series. Let me also thank Professor Charity Takyun's family for the support given to her during her academic journey and during preparation for this inaugural lecture. I welcome you all and best regards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That was the address by the Chairman of the Commission, Professor Shiu Abdurrahman. The Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this event is being broadcast live on British FM 99.9 live here in General State, with the support of the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Abobi Nawani. So thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. May I invite the University Rector, Professor George Dane, for the citation of the lecture. Professor.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, the incoming Vice Chancellor, and other principal officers in the university, I crave your indulgence to acknowledge everyone that is here. This is a teaching of Professor Charity Justin Takyun, Professor of Medical and Health Psychology. May I have the honor to invite the inaugural lecturer to please rise. Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Charity Justin Takyun was born on 6 January 1976 into the family of 8 as the youngest child of Mr. Ezra Takyun and Mrs. Takyun Ezra Takyun of Sicily in Langtang North local government area of Plateau State. Her educational journey began in Sicily Primary School and Tangled in 1982 and continued at St. Joseph Primary School, Takyun, between 1982 and 1987, where she obtained her first school living certificate. After her primary education, she was admitted into the Federal Government College Jos, graduating in 1993 with a senior school certificate. In 1995, she enrolled for her IJMB examination in the School of Preliminary Studies, KEFI, and in 1998, she obtained admission into the University of Jos to study basic and applied psychology and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology in 2001. After her NYSC with the Nigeria Customs Service at its headquarters in Abuja in 2003, Professor Charity Takyun was employed as a secretary in training with the Young Men Christian Organization, an NGO in FULafia in January 2004. Later in the same year, she took up appointment as graduate assistant in the Department of Psychology of National State University, KEFI. In 2005, Charity proceeded to Benue State University, Makurdi, now Reverend Father Moses Oshada's University, for her master's in clinical psychology, graduating in 2010. In 2013, she secured admission into VN Karazin Kharkov National University, Ukraine, to study for a PhD in medical psychology, graduating in 2016. Dr. Charity Takyun joined the services of Federal University of FULafia as a senior lecturer in the Department of Psychology in 2019 and rose steadily to the position of full professor of medical and health psychology in September 2025. Professor Charity Takyun has held different positions in the university system, including but not limited to Learning Coordinator at National State University, KEFI, Examination Coordinator, National State University, KEFI, Examination Officer, National State University, KEFI, Member of Sport Committee, National State University, KEFI, Pioneer, Acting Head, Department of Psychology, Federal University of FULafia, Pioneer, Acting Director, Career Services Center, Federal University of FULafia, Member of the Faculty of Social Sciences, 2nd to 5th National Conference Committee, Federal University of FULafia, Chairman, Departmental Postgraduate Curriculum Development Committee, Department of Psychology, Federal University of FULafia, Member, Staff Training and Development Committee, Federal University of FULafia, and Member, representing Faculty of Social Sciences, the Senate Committee on Examination Misconduct. Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Charity Takyun is a wonderful story. She is a two-time recipient of the Institutional-Based Research Award by Takyun in 2024 and 2025, respectively. She is an active member of several professional bodies, both national and international. These include, but not limited to, member, International Association of Cross-Cultural Psychology, member, International Association of Applied Psychologists, member, Nigerian Psychological Association, member, Nigerian Association of Clinical Psychologists. Mr. Vice Chancellor, this great scholar of psychology, she is also a fellow of the Institute of Policy, Management and Development. Professor Charity Takyun has more than 2 decades of university teaching experience, research, and clinical practice. She has, to her credit, more than 20 published works in both national and international journals of psychology. She has kept it up by publishing an introductory text in psychology. I can't hear the woman clapping for this great woman. Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Takyun has successfully supervised more than 100 undergraduate students and many postgraduate students. In community service, Professor Takyun has imprints in the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Chairperson of the National Association of Clinical Psychologists, Nasarawa State, Patron, the Boys Brigade, Nigeria. She is also a member of the Board of Governors, Equa Comprehensive College, and Equa Nigerian Grammar School, FULafia respectively. In service to other universities, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Takyun is an excellent examiner for the Department of Psychology, Nigerian Defense Academy, in Kaduna. She is widely traveled across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Mr. Vice Chancellor, if there is no any other thing else we will use to test how successful Professor Takyun is, there is only one evidence that we cannot ignore. Professor Takyun has psychologized Chief Superintendent of Police Justice Robert Takyun as a master. Even as a professional police officer, he fell for the psychological mechanics. The marriage is blessed with very lovely children. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I present to you this charming, young, workaholic, and accomplished scholar, pioneer acting head of the Department of Psychology. The first female professor in that department, the first female professor of psychology of Federal University of Africa, to present the 40th inaugural lecture of the Federal University of Africa. Professor Takyun, yes, thank you.
the incoming Vice Chancellor, Professor Mohammed Sakia, Deputy Vice Chancellors, designate, members of Senate, invited guests, my beloved family, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin with my academic and research journey for my presentation. In 1997, I stood before the admission list on the notice board at the University of Jos and discovered my name was not on the list again. What course did I apply for? Accounting. I will explain later why I wanted to study accounting. Before leaving home to the University of Jos that day, I was given a name of someone that I should contact. So I went looking for this man. And when I met him, I narrated my story of 2 failed attempts to get admission. But after listening to this story, he smiled and said he was proud of me for trying so much to get admission. And I would like to advise you that when next time I apply, when you apply for the course psychology. Now, I didn't know anyone who had studied psychology. Nor did I know what people do when they study psychology. And in fact, it was the first time for me hearing that psychology was studied in university. So I thanked this man and I left. I returned to Abuja to stay with my elder sister, to stay with us. And then I later got a job as a sales assistant in a pharmacy. One day the pharmacist called me to say that he wanted to advise me that when next I apply in the university, I should apply for psychology. At that point, I felt that because psychology was a confirmation this time around, since these are 2 different people that did not even know each other, suggesting the same course. So I felt it was a confirmation. So when next I was applying, I applied for psychology, and then I got admission. Now, how did I come to love the teaching profession? In the year 2000, while I was still an undergraduate student, 4 of us were selected by my lecturers. They were to carry out a research and were to serve as research assistants. It was a Hurricane International organization research. And we traveled to 6 local governments in Borno states, participating in field investigation and community enlightenment programs. Our research was on onchocerciasis. After that research, I had a different understanding of my lecturer's job that it extends beyond the walls of the classroom to solving real-life situations. And so I began to love their profession and to see them in a different light. When I eventually joined National State University as a graduate assistant in the Department of Psychology in 2004, I was told by my departmental coordinator that I will have to be writing articles for publication for me to be able to grow in this profession. And so there was one man, Professor, then he was Dr. Takyun. So I went to him one day because I used to go to him together with my friend, Professor Agata, she's here. And then I also watched the way other Though he was not in my discipline, he guided me, gave me the attention, and then taught me how to structure a journal article for publication. Then I started writing. Now the problem was that anytime I write and then the reviewers comment, gets back, the red pen normally covers the entire manuscript. And so I will keep the article for a long time. I'll keep it like for some weeks. Sometimes, get it to 2 months, then I pick it up again. So I continued like that until eventually I got the comments back, the manuscript back without any comment. So it was a big deal for me. I still have the acceptance letter of that first article that was accepted without any comment. And that was from 2005 to 2007. The article was published in 2007. So 2 years, one paper. So that was the journey, how I started the journey of my academics and research. Today, I stand before you as a professor of medical and health psychology to present a subject that lies at the heart of human existence, how we navigate life challenges, and how our success or failure in doing so shape our mental health. Now, psychology, as a scientific discipline, is defined as the study of behavior and mental processes. Psychology seeks to understand how individuals think, feel, perceive, and how these processes influence their adjustment to life's demands. Psychology has different branches. The field of medical and health psychology provides the bridge between the science of the mind and the practice of healthcare. However, the mental processes that guide this practice are deeply connected to the body and are continuously shaped by the social environment in which individuals live, learn, work, and relate with others. So it is within this context that this inaugural lecture, titled Navigating Life Challenges, Understanding and Addressing Mental Illness, is situated. Now, the lecture examines how life challenges act as stressors that can cause mental illness, how individual vulnerabilities interact with these stressors, and how protective factors and psychological interventions can prevent psychological distress from evolving into mental illness, thereby improving not just individual well-being, but family stability, institutional productivity, and societal development. Now, what is mental illness? Mental illness is any illness experienced by a person which affects their emotions, their thoughts, their behavior, and is producing a negative effect and their lives, and the lives of their families. Now, in contrast to physical illness, the diagnosis of mental illness is based on that which is in the diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. So it is based on behavioral symptoms. Now, mental illness, the understanding of mental illness has evolved through distinct historical phases. In early societies, particularly during the medieval period, mental illness was largely interpreted through a supernatural lens. It was believed to result from demon possession, witchcraft, and the workings of an angry God, leading to interventions such as exorcism, confinement, and in extreme cases, execution and treatment. A turning point came during the Greek and Roman era, where two influential perspectives emerged. A somatogenic view, emphasizing biological causes, and psychogenic view, highlighting psychological processes and life experiences. Now, taking the somatogenic view, thinkers like Hippocrates propose that mental illness, like physical illness, have natural causes. That it emerged, or mental illness resulted from natural causes that are rooted in bodily processes, stating that it originates from the brain and is as a result of an imbalance of four hormones: the blood, the black bile, the yellow bile, and phlegm. Using the psychogenic view, Gallen later expanded and lead before he lost human temperament. And this makes an important shift towards a more scientific understanding and treatment of mental illness. In the modern era today, despite advances in medical science with medications such as antipsychotic drugs to correct extremely confused and distorted thinking, or anti-anxiety drugs to reduce tension and worry, or antidepressant drugs to lift the mood of depressed people. And with all the side effects, anyway, because there are antidepressant drugs that are capable of reducing suicidal addiction in patients. But with all these medical advances, and in psychology with the use of psychotherapy, yet there's an exponential increase in cases of mental health concern. In low and middle income countries like Nigeria, the treatment of mental illness is frequently hindered by late presentation and the underutilization of psychological services. Issues that are closely intertwined with the complex life experiences experienced by individuals. stages, beginning from birth. From the child that is navigating disordered schooling, all forms of abuse, neglect, physical, verbal, or sexual abuse, family conflicts, domestic violence, to the young adult that is confronting unemployment, poverty, family pressure, career issues, financial stress, social comparison. And even to the adult grappling with relationship problems, family responsibilities, chronic illness, caretaker body, grief and loss, workplace conflict, job loss, and many others. Now all this can give rise to adjustment disorders, generalized anxiety disorders, major depressive disorders, and then sleep and eating disorders, talk of bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and all kinds of psychotic related disorders. Now, how do life challenges interact with psychological components to cause mental illness? Now, the science of the mind has the inner wall of man as its subject matter. And the inner wall of man are his wishes, his feelings, his thinking, his psyche. The psyche comprises of three components: mental processes, mental state, and mental properties. Now, these components include thinking, memory, attention, sensation, perception, abilities, interests, cognitive capacity, character, temperament, emotions, and others. Now, these are the elements that form the psychological architecture through which individuals regulate their emotions, perceive reality, make decisions, and relate to others. When any of these elements becomes impaired or distorted, the individual's ability to function adaptively is compromised, often giving rise to mental illness. For example, because emotion is a mental state, when we have exaggerated emotions, then anxiety and mood disorders can set in. And because perception is a mental process that helps reveal the world to us, when we have distortions or impairment to these core elements of perception, then psychotic disorders set in with delusions and hallucinations. Disruptions in these core elements do not operate in isolation. They interact continuously with biological, psychological, and social factors. trigger the onset of mental illness. Now we see this happen around us all the time. For instance, in 2023, a 35-year-old man in the US woke up one day, went to his former school with a rifle and started shooting. We're talking about the accumulation of these persons without adequate protective factors. That same year, a Michigan State University fellow launched an attack and killed several people and later killed himself. That same year, one other man killed all his family members, including other people. In December 2024, a 15-year-old student decided to open fire on his classmates before taking his own life. And that same month, another young man carried out an attack at the school, killing people and later killed himself. Just December last year, 2025, a 63-year-old man went rampage killing several people and later killed himself. Now the history of most of these shooters revealed that some of these shooters had issues. Either issues with borderline personality disorders, some had a long history of untreated trauma. One of the shooters had witnessed his father being shot 20 years ago, and he lived with that trauma untreated. Now, some of the shooters were discovered had been homeless for 2 to 3 years prior to the attack. Some were going through depression and homelessness because of financial stress. Like the case of his 63-year-old man, it was discovered that his close and only companion, that's his wife, had been hospitalized in need of a lot of money to stay alive. And this man had no help. And so he fell into depression and homelessness, and then later the attack. And later he ended his life. You may say this is far away in the US. In Nigeria, where people live with so much persistent and multiple stressors, we have insecurity. Insecurity, the psychological trauma of insecurity is even worse because you don't know when you will be picked. You don't know when your spouse will be picked, when your child will be picked. Unemployment, poverty, relationship problems. We know we've had cases of couples taking each other's hands because of family conflicts. We see children sexually being abused because of neglect. People committing suicide because of one stressor or the other. And now when these stressors are accumulate without adequate protective factors, they can trigger the onset of mental illness. Over the years, my empirical studies have consistently examined the interaction between life stressors and psychological vulnerabilities and protective factors. Findings from our research do not end on the pages of journals as psychologists. Our findings are deliberately translated into practice, informing evidence-based clinical interventions that address real-life situations. Now, guided by the therapeutic techniques derived from our empirical work, we've applied psychological interventions in both individuals and groups. Within the university community, we oftentimes draw the attention of our students But through a structured psychological intervention, emotional stability was restored in the organization. Now, the impact of that service was such that the leadership of the organization formally visited our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mama, to appreciate him for the intervention that was provided. In conclusion, life challenges are inevitable, but mental illness is not. When life stresses us, interacts with vulnerabilities in the absence of protective factors and timely intervention, psychological distress can evolve into mental illness. However, when individuals, institutions, and societies invest in early recognition, prevention, and evidence-based psychological intervention, the mental well-being can be preserved, families stabilized, and productivity enhanced. We have recommendations. Recommendations both at individual, institutional, and societal levels. We can develop health-seeking behavior. We can encourage utilization of counseling and support services within schools, workplaces, and community centers. We engage in meaningful activities that provide a sense of purpose. Develop healthy coping strategies, problem-solving skills, stress management, emotional regulations. We should adopt healthy lifestyle practices, avoidance of substance use, adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, regular physical activities, promote work-life balance and reasonable expectations in academics and workplace settings. Promote work-life balance and reasonable expectations. We should look out for one another, especially during periods of environmental and social or economic stress. We should also encourage and maintain mentorship structures. Now, just of recent, in this January 2026, some of my published work is being published in this January, and the factors, one of it is factors moderating the relationship between public strategies and quality of life among Nigerians in North Central Nigeria. I have also had a work that is published in this January, the relationship between psychological hardness and family well-being, the moderating role of emotional intelligence among university workers in North Central Nigeria. All these are addressing the issues of mental illness in order to improve mental well-being. Thank you for listening. Can we please read my acknowledgement? I still have some time. I would like to express my profound gratitude, first and foremost, to God Almighty for my life and throughout my academic and my career. The grace of God has been sufficient in my life, and to Him I return all the glory, the honor, adoration, praise, and worship. I also would like to express my gratitude to many people who have supported me throughout this journey. I wish to honor and appreciate my father, late Mr. Ezra Takyun of blessed memory, who raised us to always stand firm and defend the truth at all costs. He was known as a peacemaker, content, fulfilled, and principled. I also express my deepest gratitude to my mother. I thank my mother for her resilience and tireless struggles to change the fortune of her family. But above all, for her strong conviction, her deep faith in God, and her unwavering belief in the power of prayer. I stand here today as one of her many answered prayers. My Vice Chancellor, sir, my initial aspiration to study accounting was not born out of a passion for figures, far from it, but rather it was from a desire to work in a banking sector. Now, my parents had two contrasting views on higher education. My mother, an adult educationist, wanted all her children educated. My father, a retired soldier, however, had a contrary view. For him, he had done a noble thing by helping to fight and keep the unity of the nation without a formal education. So, because of my father's view on education, the burden of sustaining the educational vision of my mother rested largely on her alone. She was a civil servant and an entrepreneur who used to sell everything sellable. We used to sell alcohol in the morning before we went to school. All my mother's money then was seeing her school fees, nothing else. So if she has any money, it is targeted at someone's school fees. So growing up was challenging. Many things were considered luxury, so many needs were not met. When I moved to the city, the bankers were the first to catch my attention. In fact, I had friends, two friends, whose fathers were bankers. And these my two friends seemed to have everything. So one day I asked one of them, I said, how do I get to work in a bank when I grow up? And she said, well, study accounting. And that was it. So my quest for applying to study accounting wasn't because I love figures. It was because of the suggestion of my friend. So later, I kept applying for accounting. My Vice Chancellor, sir, I'd like to thank my husband, CFP Justice Neighbor Takyun, my lovely husband. He's fondly called Dancing. He's given me every support I needed throughout my academic journey. I remember at one point, during my PhD program, I met a very difficult situation. We were 3 Nigerians that traveled to Ukraine for our PhD. Now, because of the problem that we met, 2 had to travel back to Nigeria. But when I called my husband, I told him, I can't do this program, coming back. He said, no, Charity, wait. I'll come and meet you. So I waited. And then he abandoned all that he was doing and traveled to Ukraine. After a while, that problem got resolved. And even my 2 friends that had left, one wanted to return, but they were no longer giving entry. I thank you, sir, for your unwavering support. I equally recognize the sacrifices made by my loving children, Julius Harrison, Harriet, and Marriott, who have journeyed with me through this demanding part of academic life. Even when I return home in the evening, I still have one work or the other to do as a woman. And they've been very supportive. Thank you, my angels. They are now grown ups. I wish to formally express my gratitude to the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanusi Liman, for employing me and granting me the opportunity to serve the university as a pioneer acting head of department. I wish to express my appreciation to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Shewa Abdurrahman, one who is like a father to me. I thank you for your trust in my ability, sir, and for reappointing me 5 times as acting head of department. Professor Shewa Abdurrahman provided the department with the required resources needed. His academic leadership and guidance earned us full accreditation. The Vice Chancellor has also appointed me the Pioneer Acting Director, Career Services Center. And during his tenure, he has promoted me twice. First to Associate Professor and now to Full Professor. I thank you, sir. I extend my profound appreciation to the incoming Vice Chancellor, Professor Mohammed Isakile, my first father in Federal University of FULafia. During my interview, when the panel requested for my publications, I told them the story of how when I was coming, I had problems with my car, left the car in Akwanga and been taken back to KFC, and my journals are in the car. And when I narrated that to the panel, I knew that there was a problem. It was a minus on my side. Now, Professor Kida quickly, as my dean, quickly suggested that I send someone immediately to KFC to retrieve my publications. And that was what I did. As my first dean, he guided me through key administrative processes that helped lay the foundation of our department and contributed significantly to my personal and professional growth. Thank you, sir. I wish to express my heartfelt appreciation to so many people. I have a list of so many people. Time may not allow me to mention all of them. I'm deeply grateful to Professor Olayemi Takyun. He's the Vice Chancellor, current Vice Chancellor of Federal University of FULafia. He first taught me how to structure a scholarly paper for journal publications. Like I mentioned, he was not in my discipline, but he guided me. So his willingness to support young academics beyond professional boundaries reflects the true spirit of academia, and I remain grateful to him. I thank also the current Vice Chancellor, Bingham University, Professor Haruna Ayuba, and his family. The wife is here. They are our cherished family friends for long. Thank you for your support. I sincerely acknowledge and appreciate my elder sister, CSI Becky Ezra Takyun, who has been a pillar of strength to the family. Sister, can you stand up for the recognition? Sister Becky. Please, can I have the family join? because I won't be able to call all your names. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone is here. May blessed. I want to especially acknowledge my father-in-law, late Chief Abraham Takyun, a gentleman to be called, my mother-in-law, Mrs. Rebecca Abraham Takyun, a woman with a golden heart who has taken me as her daughter. I thank her for her love. Please, can I have the Takyun family represented here stand for the conclusion? Thank you very much. Please, let's pray. I wish to also acknowledge a dear friend, Mommy Doshima. She was my classmate. When I went to BSU for my program, I met Mommy Doshima for the first time. Mommy Doshima is here. Is she here? Mommy Doshima is here. Yeah, she was my MSc classmate. When I met her, I only told her, please recommend a decent hotel that I can stay. So anytime I come for my coursework, I stay in that hotel. And she said, okay, let's go. She took me in her car straight to her home and introduced me to her family. And throughout my coursework, Mommy Doshima's family was my family. Thank you, ma'am, for everything. I wish to sincerely appreciate the leadership of National State University, where I first lectured for 16 years before moving to FULafia. I thank the university leadership and colleagues alike. I'd like to express my gratitude to Professor Wezier, Professor Sylvester Martin, Professor Andrew Zamani is our president. African Psychological Union, Professor Zamani, thank you. Associate Professor Abubakar Musatapina, as our National Association of Psychology President, thank you. I want to especially acknowledge Professor Yaya Adatu. He's the present Dean of Social Sciences. Now, Professor Yaya Adatu, I had worked with him. When I was a branch treasurer, he was the chairman of the branch. And that was 2010 to 2012. We often shared long and difficult journeys in the course of our stories. And one of the occasions, we narrowly escaped a dangerous encounter that would have cost our lives. Thank you, sir, for your courage, your resilience, and your exemplary leadership. I want to appreciate our uncle here, Honorable Justice Haruna Ofo. Thank you, sir. Justice Haruna Ofo was the one that brought my employment letter to me, followed me to the house in the employment letter. And I do not know what has done. Honorable Justice Haruna, my former teacher, Professor Francis Akawu, all together with Justice Haruna also, made that happen. And he brought the letter to me. Thank you, sir. I also want to appreciate late Senator Ewuga, who had been a father throughout my academic journey. May his soul rest in peace. I deeply appreciate the support of my former dean, Professor Onasabi Jibril, my dean, Professor George Gaye, who is the university orator, my deputy dean, Dr. Aisha Odiri. I thank Dr. Okoleman James for being a dependable colleague. I appreciate also the entire staff of the Department of Psychology for FULafia, the entire staff of the Department of Psychology at National State University, Kenya. Both teaching and non-teaching staff, I appreciate. They are helping us to build a reputable Department of Psychology in Federal University of Lafayette. I wish to thank members of the Committee of Career Services Center, led by the chairman, Professor Ibrahim Ogiri Hassan, one of the DVCs this event, together with his members who had worked tirelessly to establish a functional career services center at FULafia. I sincerely acknowledge and appreciate all my friends, Professor Agatha is here, Dr. Iya, Haruna Yuba is here, Dr. Martina is here, thank you so much, Professor Linda Kondon, Dr. Hawa Abuji, Jonathan, all my friends, Professor Ampo, Professor Zira, thank you all. I appreciate Dr. Lecturer of my classmate in secondary school, Professor Dr. Musa Nehiawo of the Department of Economics, my former students, I thank you all. To my teachers, I have a long list of teachers, right from Shishiri Primary School to St. Joseph Primary School to Federal Women College, Jos, to SPSKF, University of Jos, Benue State University, VM Chicago National University. But let me use one teacher to represent all my teachers. We call him Mr. Jungol, he's been introduced, he's my primary school teacher. So I understand it. I think that my teachers were unique people. When other people were learning 2-letter words in our own class, my primary school teacher would come with a textbook. I said, today we are going to read. There's this text. Mother asked, is there any water in that pot? Lady said, I don't know. Mother said, look and see. Lady looked inside the pot and she said, it is full. Now that text, we're reading it in primary 1. When my friends, people like Professor Zira were learning 2-letter words, we were reading text. So my teachers did a wonderful work. I thank them all. I thank my PhD supervisors, Professor Alexander Kachana, my Dean Faculty of Psychology, Professor Pinu, and every other person. I want to register my appreciation to the family of Uncle Andrew and Lena with their son Stephen, who became my family in Ukraine. I think they've joined online from Germany. I also want to thank my faculty friend Isaiah Amewa, joining from UK. I also want to thank Dr. Moses Arigo, who is joining from Canada, joining this lecture from Canada. Well, I'll be speaking. As I say, I acknowledge the distinguished memberships of Senate, Federal University of Lafayette. I thank all my students, both undergraduate and postgraduate. I thank all members of the academic community, both teaching and non-teaching. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to my FULafia women in academics, led by our president, Professor Alec Chuchu, and others, Professor Halima Amale, Professor Josephine Kode. I sincerely thank all my spiritual fathers for their spiritual mentorship and continuous prayer. I'd like to express my gratitude to the national president and state chairman of Boys Brigade Battalion Chapel. Thank you for your patience and hard work, ma'am. That always ensures that we have a smooth delivery of the inaugural lecture series in Federal University of Lafayette. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for attending this inaugural lecture. I wish you safe journey to your destination.
Thank you. Congratulations once again. Please be seated. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the chairman of the occasion, Professor Shehu Abdurrahman, for the presentation of gift for the inaugural lecture. Prof. Inaugural lecture, please. Can you step forward?
Federal University of Lafayette Inaugural Lecture Series number 40, Faculty of Social Sciences, Certificate of Merit awarded to Prof. Takyun, Professor of Medical and Health Psychology, on the inaugural lecture presentation today, awarded January 21st, 2026. Congratulations. This play symbolizes that today, 21st January 2026, Professor Charity has been inaugurated as a professor of Federal University of Lafayette. And always in this university we emphasize that when you go to any professor office, even if the professor put a name on the door, that Professor A, if you go to something like BBC this one, that professor has not been inaugurated. So I want to congratulate Professor Charity for this favor from Almighty God on you today. Congratulations. And this is the gift from the inaugural lecture committee of this university. And I need to announce it's not dollars that are inside. You know, these days when anything is run like this, you have to be careful. So this is a gift for our committee. Thank you. You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And congratulations to the inaugural lecturer. Let me invite Dr. Susan Limba to give us the vote of thanks and announcements.
The outgoing Vice Chancellor, Professor Sheikh Abdurrahman, the incoming Professor Isakida, personal officers of the institution, eminent scholars, senators of the institution, to everyone here present, we say thank you for availing yourselves to yet another lecture series. I stand before you at this point in time in humility as a portrayal of gratitude on behalf of the chair of the Inaugural Lecture Committee, Professor Joseph Ode, and the entire university community. May I once again congratulate the presenter for broadening our perception in this field of endeavor. Thank you, Prof. And coming from a female professor, we stand across to the feminine world. Happy to see more of you in our subsequent events. We say that you go well to your varied homes. Here's the announcement. And to inform you that the reception is right here in the MIS hall, immediately after the photo session. Permit me to hand over to the anchor man for the final prayers, ascending yours, Dr. Susan Hilda Anthony.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, shall we all rise as we recite the national pledge as our closing prayers for this event? After the count of 2, 1, 2. Thank you very much for coming to the end of this program. We'll have photo session outside, and after this photo session, we shall come here for the reception. Please create space for the Chairman of Senate and members of Senate as they exit the hall. Okay. Please, those in charge of the reception should please put the hall in order. Put the hall in order so that we can commence